My name's Joe Oxford, and this is basically a brief introduction video about what I'm going to be doing here in the future with some of these videos. As you all know, or a lot of you know, that I had heart failure last year in March and got misdiagnosed as having some kind of bronchial infection by an urgent care where they gave me antibiotics and an inhaler. And then I went home for another week and a half, 2 weeks. What I hadn't realized that I'd suffered a major heart attack and I had next to no blood flow. As a matter of fact, on April 2nd, I went into a hospital to the emergency room and they did emergency surgery where they put 4 stents in my heart. And after 4 stents, I had less than 18% use of my heart. So that's where I was before I went to the emergency room. And after spending a week there, they couldn't do anything for me, so I requested to be taken to the University Medical Center Banner here in Tucson, Arizona, because they have a great heart program. So I was basically there from April 9th and finally got stabilized about the first week or somewhere around there in May. So it was about a month of lots of different medications and steroids and drip system and whatnot. And they finally got me to a level where I was stable enough to be put at the top of a list for a heart donor. So I went on that list for a couple of days, and then they had a misread on one of the blood tests that showed that I had some kind of infection, which turned out to be false. So after 2 days of that, they put me back on the list. So after 9 days total of that, on the 9th day of being on the list, they came in to tell me that they were going to put Dr. Ott came in and told me they were going to put a defibrillator on my heart and send me home to wait with a drip system because, there's nothing more that they could do for me, which I'd been in isolation for so long in that back room in ICU, in the cardiac unit, I was fine with that. It's like, let's do it. I'd rather be here, being able to watch TV and talk to my family than, be isolated. So if I had to come here and wait months, and if not years, I'd rather be at home. So he said that was on a Friday, and then he said by Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd be going home. So Dr. Ott left, and then about 20 minutes later, my regular nurse practitioner team came in and asked me if I'd heard the good news. And I said, yep, sure. Dr. Ott was just in here and told me that I was going home with a defibrillator and a drip system. And, basically, there'd be a nurse that dropped by once a week or once a day. I mean, I think it was once a day or once a week. I can't remember. That's been a year ago. And they said, no. Who told you that? Well, I hadn't told them it was Dr. Ott, so I said, Dr. Ott was just in here. And they're like, no, that's not the good news. And I'm like, well, what's the good news? And they go, we found you a heart. This is 9 days of being on the list. That doesn't happen. So that day, at about 3 p.m., they found me a heart. Some young kid up in the Phoenix Mesa area had a motorcycle accident and was no longer going to survive due to, brain death. So they kept him sustained or alive so that they could harvest his organs around midnight. And that's what they told me a couple hours later. The first time they just said they found a heart and they thought it was a perfect match, but they didn't know. But 2 hours later, they had more information about the kid, being on a motorcycle, brain death, blah, blah, blah. And that I wasn't just getting, a heart, I was getting like the heart, like the perfect heart, it was like about as perfectly matched as you could possibly get. So somebody went up that evening around somewhere between midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, as they were harvesting organs, the doctor that goes up checks out and makes sure the heart's okay and that it didn't get damaged and whatnot. So I was hoping that didn't happen. So I wasn't able to sleep for very long. I think I slept maybe an hour or so, but I finally fell asleep and they woke me up and said to be prepared that, you know, they were going to start doing prep real soon and I might want to call my family. And this is like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, so I was like, okay, here we go. So my daughter and my wife and our neighbor showed up, and I basically told my son, you know, I love you, and no matter what happens, you know. And I called my daughter on the phone. I said, no matter what happens, you know, if I die, just know that I loved you, and there's like no grudges, and don't think that I didn't ever love you, or don't think that I held some kind of weird grudge or something, or, you know, or there was something left unsaid, you know, because that's not the case. And I said, if you have anything to say, this is the time to say it, because, you know, we're down to the wire at this point. So like clockwork, you know, they came in and started prepping and doing all these things, and they wheeled me down to the operating room and slapped me on a table and like started hooking me up to stuff. Then they said, we're going to sedate you, and the next thing I know I was waking up like 8 hours, 9 hours later, and come to find out it was like one of the easiest clockwork heart transplants that he's ever done. So, you know, whenever I see that doctor, he does nothing but smile. So I know that, you know, what happened there was miracle grade, if you want to call it a miracle. So yeah, it's my story. So you're probably wondering, you know, why am I making these videos? Well, I want to get into public speaking, and I'm getting some stories together. And at the moment, I am not employed, so I'm kind of putting forth that I have a GoFundMe that you'll see down here. I'll post a link right below me. So yeah, I'm plugging that just out of necessity. I don't like having to go that route, but I've already been out of work for a month, and without a work and bills and everything, money just starts to disappear. So I got to sustain somehow. So I got that. I'm going to try to do the public speaking. And I'm also going to be doing reviews. I'm going to probably have 2 different channels in addition to this channel. Or this video here will get placed on another channel that's directly related to the heart transplant and my journey and thinking positive and things that you can do to keep positive, you know, and keep your spirit alive. Because, you know, as of right now, you know, I've almost died twice in the last 13 months, and I'm still alive, and I'm going to make it, and I'm going to make things better, and I'm going to get things rolling. So yep, I'll have this channel. I'm going to do a channel on reviews where I'll probably be doing product reviews and do, I'd like to do local food reviews of like places that aren't like, you know, necessarily well known. So, you know, places that are like dives and little hole in the wall type places. Some known, not some. You know, I don't want to cover all the ones that everybody knows that you see on the TV and the commercials. I want to do like food trucks and whatnot. And the other channel probably be centered around doing comedy or little skits or something. And then Brandon says he wants to do a channel, so maybe we can work in the comedy skits and like a video blog on his channel. He's younger and hip, and he'll probably get more subscribers on there anyway just because he's younger. But I'm going to keep this simple. I'm going to end this now. I want to say thank you to everybody who's donated money to me so far, because whether you know it or not, it was like it's needed, because technically I don't go back to work for another month if I get to go back to work at that point, but it's another month. So, you know, I'm just starting to cover this month's bills going into July. It's July 7th. So just going into July and just keeping bills covered. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. So I'm thinking about alternatives, ways to keep things going, and if public speaking and doing reviews is one of them, so be it. But again, thank you everybody. My name's Joe, and this is my channel. There'll be more videos to come. This is just the introduction video. Thank you again. Peace out.